Now I'm going to introduce our program, and it's okay to keep eating. These guys are doing a great job of getting what looks like beautiful food in front of you. I haven't had any yet, but hopefully you're saving mine, Kathy, right? All right, good you. What you're all here today for is in part to hear this amazing program. I'm so excited about succeeding as a female entrepreneur in the Florida Keys. We're going to get the scoop on starting and running a business from 4 of our very own Upper Keys BPW members who are also successful entrepreneurs. And our moderator is our board member, Bonnie Barnes, who's also a business consultant with the Small Business Development Center at FIU. And if you don't know about SBDC, you should. They're amazing resource for all of us. I believe Bonnie has some material back on that same counter where the breast cancer walk is. So make sure you meet her and pick up some of her material about their great resources. If you have them right. So I'm going to turn it over to Bonnie, who's going to introduce the rest of the panel, and please enjoy.
Thank you, Jill, for a great introduction. And it is my pleasure to serve as your moderator. I need to bring these young 4 ladies up here. Come on, let's go. We have Sherri, Bookkeeping, Ilja, Chapman, Voyage Blue Travel, Cassandra Clark, Jellyfish, Daydreams, and of course, Courtney Smith, the keys to nutrition. And so introducing again, we have Ilja, Courtney, Sherri, and Cassandra. I'm all right. Okay. So we're going to reserve time at the end to have you ask us a few questions. So we're going to get this started, but they're going to be here to share their motivations and their challenges and pass along their best advice to, if you want to get started in a business, lessons learned in running their businesses, and some personal secrets to their success. So we're going to start with Ilja, and each of them are going to tell you their name, their business name, a little bit about their business, what kind of business it is, how long have they been in business, and if they have employees or not. Okay, Ilja. Yes.
All right. Well, I already said I've been in business almost 10 years. In April, will be 10 years. And I started travel, obviously, because I love travel. And I've traveled the world, and starting my own business was something that was just high on the list. I've always been in hotel management before, born and raised in the Netherlands. And then I was very fortunate to work and travel around the world. And I am in transition in the business. I will tell you a little bit about that. We do have employees and we do have contractors. So it's, we're going out. So it's exciting. So I'm happy to share that with you, and I appreciate the opportunity here. Thank you, everybody.
I was lucky enough to meet one of her contractors in Belgium and Amsterdam this summer, actually. I'm Courtney. I'm a registered dietitian and diabetes specialist. I have been a dietitian for over 11 years now. I used to think that was really exciting, and now I think that was still a little old. So when I became a dietitian in 2012, I started the Keys to Nutrition, really out of necessity. I knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I was always, selling lemonade and doing things as a kid. But when I first became a dietitian, I decided to start my business as a side hustle and then progress to where I am now. And I'm originally from the Keys, and I'm looking forward to this panel. Good afternoon. I am Sherri with Bookkeeping. I am a sole proprietor. I do not have employees. It's just me, myself, and I have lived in the Keys for about a year, a little over a year. I came down with my husband. We moved down here from the Clearwater area. We've been in Florida for 9 years, but I've been in the Keys for a year. We moved down. And I've had Bookkeeping going since November of 2017, but I've been doing bookkeeping off and on since 2008, when my husband and I had a plumbing business in Illinois. And we're far northern Illinois, right on the Wisconsin-Illinois border. So, we sold our business up there and moved down to Florida. We were done with the winters. And boy, was it a good move. But, been doing bookkeeping off and on since we moved and started, the bookkeeping here in Florida. So I look forward to, giving you guys some more information on my business.
Hello, everyone. I'm Cassandra. I'm the owner of Jellyfish Daydreams Jellyfish Daydreams Tattoo and Art Gallery, and it's located right in Tavernier. I started tattooing in 2007, so it's been about 17 years, and I've been an artist my whole life. And I grew up in upstate New York, and I had my tattoo shop up there. I started in 2012. So I've been self-employed for 11 years now, all by myself. And I am very proud to be a business owner in the Keys. I came from a small town in upstate New York where, there wasn't much opportunity. And I started to come to the Keys in 2015 as a visitor. And in that visit, I became passionate about the ocean. I became a diver, and I got a couple job offers in the Keys. So I came down and was like, well, let's try it out and see what happens. And I am now a scuba instructor. That's how much I fell in love with RV. So my goal as an artist here in the Keys is to raise awareness for our reefs, to show both the locals and our visitors how important that reef is to the survival of the Keys. So through art and tattooing, and teaching people to be sustainable and eco-friendly, that's my purpose here. So thank you. I look forward to sharing some great stuff with you.
Yeah. So one of the interesting things in the room is we have a mix of women that are in business, women that are just working, but it's nice to have mentors like these that can advise. I started my first business in advertising at 17 years of age. And gosh, I would have loved to have had a group that supported me like this at that time. So please remember and learn from each other and appreciate the woman who's just going to be consulting and mentoring. That's what we all need. So with that, I'd like to ask these business owners, what drove you to become a business owner? And Ilja, you have the mic.
What drove me to become my own business owner is probably working for people I disagreed with.
I became a business owner just because I had this idea of always wanting to go into private practice and essentially create my own business model and private practice. And I also love the flexibility. Part of my business is a hybrid, so I have office visits and telehealth. And the telehealth component especially has allowed me to travel and take a little bit more weeks vacation than allotted in a corporate American job. It's interesting because, my husband and I started our plumbing business when we lived in Illinois, and he wanted nothing to do with the books, absolutely nothing. And so we had to make a decision. Do we bring in an office assistant, or do I leave my job? And my degree is actually in early childhood education. So I left my job. I was working at a school district at the time, left my job to come home and run the business full time, got a crash course in bookkeeping. And when we sold our business, I was kind of bummed. I was like, okay, now I got to get back out there. And when we moved down here to Florida, I had a few jobs here and there with various accounting firms and stuff like that. And I said to myself, you know what? I'm just not happy. I'm happy being my business owner. I'm happy making and creating my own schedule, being available when I need to be available and not having a 9 to 5. I can come and go as I please. So I really enjoy that part of being a business owner.
I became a business owner because I walk my own path. I don't like to have some other person tell me what to do. And as an artist, that's very complicated. So I have a certain way of doing things. I'm very particular, and I don't want some, I don't want some man. Patient, or I have to do this a certain way, so okay, I'm just gonna do this myself and be great at it.
Sometimes we take a different path. Courtney, you have a different approach of when you got started. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yes, so as I said initially, I started my business, Beatty Nutrition, in 2012, and I was very new to nutrition. And I was driving all across the Keys, doing nutrition consultation on the night and weekends while having a full-time job. So what I want to emphasize, if you're interested in starting a business, you don't have to go full-time from the beginning. You can always do it as a side hustle. And I will say that emphasis on the hustle of side hustle is very exhausting, but it's 100% worth it. And to have a goal, I think it's great. And I mean, it took me 10 years to actually go full-time, and essentially, COVID, the pandemic, allowed telehealth to become more familiar, and a lot more people were willing to utilize it. We had telehealth for years previously. So that's when I took the opportunity to kind of avoid having a brick and mortar and being able to have a lower cost business model of telehealth. I now have an office that I see patients in 2 days a week, but that barrier to entry financially can be very difficult. So you kind of have to get creative. And I kind of saw that in 2020 with COVID, that was kind of my time. And it's still a leap of faith, but at some point you do have to take that leap.
Excellent. Ilja, you're in a growth stage, it appears. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what you're doing?
Well, when I started back in 2014, it was just me and my business, and you create your own procedures and your workflow for your clients, obviously. And I set my own policies and how I want to work. But then you come to a certain revenue that's, this is it. You cannot do it as a person. You cannot do it more. I mean, you knew you had to do and the bookkeeping and the marketing and the selling and the, and be your own IT department, but you can only do so much. So you're reach the thresholds that you have to bring people on. And the hardest part, and I did that last year, the hardest part is actually everything that's in your head, the way you do it, it has to come on paper. And let me tell you, for me, it was the hardest thing because you just do it. You have a certain way you want to treat your clients. You do a certain way, you search for something, it just comes like that. No, somebody else is going to help you. And I was very fortunate. You have to find the right person, and she was very forceful with me and like, okay, so how do you do it? Well, how do you do it? Let me sit next to you. How do you do it? What are you doing here? What are the steps? And we were able to create an entire workflow. So I do encourage everybody, because you don't think about it, but think about it from the beginning that you start your business, that you're actually going to grow, because you will grow. That's why you are starting your business. So my advice would there be is start thinking about your workflow, start documenting everything you do today, even though you're only small and you only have a side hustle. Yeah, start documenting it today. So it's not as hard as I did. It took me together with her, it took us 6 weeks, and I was exhausted after that. Yeah. Hope that answers your question.
Yes, perfectly. Cassandra, I'm gonna go all the way down to you, because some of you thought outside funding, but I'd love to know a little bit more about what you did.
Absolutely. So, with my funding, I was actually partly to COVID. That's maybe one good thing that helped my business. I received the IDA loan, the Economic Injury Disaster Loan, when I was in New York. I, had only taken a small amount of the funding because I was in New York and I knew I had the plan of moving down here to the Keys in 2020. And you cannot use that funding for moving. So I held off on it. And then when I moved down here and established myself, then I was able to get more of that funding, like access it. So I was put in touch with Margie Smith, my fairy godmother. And she is a fairy godmother because without her help in getting access to that extra IDA loan money, and she was such a sweetheart. She helped me every step of the way. And I had a lot of issues with the change of address. So the SBA had the wrong address and it took months because they had red flagged my account, but she was there and she was active and she was helping me constantly. And she finally got my funding approved 2 days before they ran out of money. So my biggest suggestion is, I'm obviously Margie is no longer in that position, but Miss Bonnie Barnes is. And if you have the ability to use the resources that they offer, do it, because it is wonderful and it has helped me so much to access that funding. I will say though, with some of the funding that is offered, like the loan that I had, it's not accessible anymore. But there are stipulations to these loans. And one of the biggest things that I really liked was the funding had to be spent in this country. So everything had to be sourced from the United States. And they want you to keep track of that. So make sure that you keep track of your, what you do with this money, because at some point they're gonna check into that. So,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
And by the way, Margie did incredible things for our community, especially after the hurricane, making access to funding to keep people in business. The PPP loans that were forgiven for many of our businesses. It's amazing what your small business center and your small business development center can do for a community. And the best thing we do is no cost consulting to anybody who is interested in a business, and we walk you through things. So with that, Sherri, you had to leave work to do this full time. What strengths did you bring to your business, and what did you have to learn on the job?
Well, I started basically from ground zero. When my husband decided that he was not going to do any of the bookkeeping or anything like that, he was going to be out in the field. He's a plumber. He was 25 years in the plumbing industry, and he has since hung that up. But anyway, when he didn't want to do the books, I came home and I had to basically start from scratch. So I went to our accountant and I shadowed him. I was learning QuickBooks Desktop at the time, learned how to do payroll, learned how to, work QuickBooks and keep proper records, so forth and so on. So with that, it grows from there. When I moved here to Florida and was working with accounting firms in Clearwater, I learned a lot or continued to learn a lot more about record keeping, not only with QuickBooks Desktop, but then also got to dabble in QuickBooks Online. And if any of you guys are familiar with the QuickBooks platforms, you will see a complete difference between desktop and online. It's definitely a learning curve. So don't get discouraged if that's the platform that you're using. But to grow in attending seminars and learning as much as you, for me, in the accounting world, it's helped me to grow my business in the sense that clients see that I've kind of been an understudy with accountants. Accountants have asked me to go get my accounting license and I like, yeah, I'm just being the bookkeeper. So I stayed in that bookkeeping position. So I don't file tax returns, but I can help file payroll tax returns and sales tax returns here in the state of Florida. So, yeah, it's just been, kind of getting in and getting to know the accounting world and the way that accountants think and work. And most accountants, I don't say all, but most accountants don't want to do the bookkeeping either. Most accountants want to do the tax preparing and all of that. They want to leave the bookkeeping, the dirty work, to the bookkeeper. Bring it on. I do contract with a lot of accountants. I have accountants and CFOs in North Carolina. I do have a couple of accountants here. I have a couple of accountants in Texas. So I do subcontract a lot of my work as well.
Thank you. All right, Ilja. Let's see, what business tasks do you handle yourself and what do you outsource and why?
Yeah, that's the $1 million question, I guess. Which part do you outsource and which one do you do yourself? It's that's the daunting task, is that you have to do the exercise going through it. What do you actually do like the whole day, right? Write down all your tasks. And then there are certain tasks that need a certain personality. Maybe I need to keep doing that. You have a certain task with client facing that maybe I need to continue to do that. But do I have to post social media? Does that have to be me? Do I have to keep track of my bookkeeping? Probably not. I have a wonderful bookkeeper, which is here in the room as well, so I could not be without her. She keeps me also in line with all my licenses, because as a business owner, you're the visionary, right? And you need to recognize that. And that's where your strength is. And that's where you are able to grow. That's what your entrepreneurial mind have, right? It's like that swirl effect, like, ooh, maybe do that, ooh, maybe we do that. But it doesn't mean that you're the person who has to do it. So you can really giggle in there. So yeah, you want to see what you're able to delegate, and again, set up procedures and policies for that. And then keep also, I have to say, what you like. I don't particularly like to know when the next license is due to be paid or which insurance and where to file that and organize all my files. No, I have somebody who does that. Go for it. And then if you find somebody who likes to label it in colors, oh, these are all the green colors. Yeah, and these are all the red folders. Yeah, really? I couldn't care less, but if that makes somebody else happy and it keeps my business organized, yeah, go for it. So you got to find out what you like, what you're good at, and what the other person also is obviously good at. So they will also blossom in their position. Yeah.
Awesome. Courtney, who do you turn to when you're stuck? What helps you make the hard business decisions? And do you have a mentor or a business coach?
Well, first I want to add on to what everyone was saying. And if there's a task that you feel like you're just spending way too much time on and you don't love it, it's definitely a sign that you want to delegate, because as an entrepreneur, your time is money. So I think it's important in the beginning to do everything yourself, or at least understand the process so that you know it's being done correctly. But once you can delegate that, certainly do that. So as a solo entrepreneur, it's just me. And when I find that I have difficulties or have problems, I always resort back to my policies and procedures. So initially when I started my business, I made X number of policies, and each time I encounter a problem, I just kind of go back to my policy list,
And I have to either add a new policy or edit or update. So that moving forward, that doesn't happen again, or, I have all of my clients sign policies, procedures, so that it's completely out in the open and, they're posted. So, on your own, you're kind of like talking to yourself, and just being able to have that Word document to refer to, I think is important. Hopefully that answered the question.
Perfect. So to each of you, what works for you as far as marketing and what has been your best source of new customers?
Well, just to piggyback on what these ladies were saying, do what you do best and farm out the rest.
There you go.
Do what you do best and farm out the rest. That way you can focus on what you're doing to grow your business. So to grow my business, I get involved in networking groups. When we lived in Illinois, we were part of the chamber up there. When we lived in Clearwater, we were part of the chamber there. The chamber helps. DPW helps. Getting out there, getting your face seen by other people. You can't expect the work to come to you. You have to go get it. You have to be determined. Mindset, blood, sweat, and tears. You have to go get it. There's fun little ways of that I market my business. I will go to the dollar store. I love the dollar store. I will go to the dollar store and get boxes of milk duds. And I will take a little like note, and I will cross out the word milk and I will put don't hire. So when I put that sticker on there, it says don't hire duds. And then I put my business card on the back. And that's a way of marketing. You have to think outside the box of traditional marketing as well. You have your websites, you have, your cold calling if you want to do that, but think outside the box. There's different ways of getting people. Another way that I do some marketing is I will get little packets of forget-me-not seeds, and I'll just hand them out at different networking events or just let them sit so they forget me. My husband and I, when we had our plumbing business, we would do favors and stuff like that, and believe it or not, and this is gonna sound bad, but it was a clean toilet. It was clean. We had a brand new toilet as part of our demonstration, and we would put little mini wrapped Tootsie Rolls in the toilet, and that was our candy dish. Let me tell you, it was good. Most people laughing at it. They're like, "Oh my God, how creative is this?" And there was a few people that didn't really like that, but that's okay. Again, with all of you are extremely smart, and you wouldn't be in the position that you're in if you don't have that talent to take your business to the next level. Even if you're starting out or if you've been in business for 20, 30 years, there's always something that you can do differently that will grow your business to the next level.
Thank you. We are running out of time, so let's kind of, continue onward. Thank you.
So one of my biggest marketing strategies as a tattoo artist is word of mouth. So by giving my local clientele a great experience, making sure that they're well taken care of, that's really important, because then they're going to tell the next person and their friends that they've had a great experience and that we should come here. Outside of that, social media is one of the hardest things that I keep up with. And being a part of the community. So before I opened up my brick and mortar business here, I was at the farmers markets, I was at the nautical flea market, and I was at all of the local events, telling people what my business was, where I'm going to be, and was growing from the community. And that's between word of mouth and community. That's where you need to aim.
So So the last question for each of you is, what one piece of advice would you give to someone thinking about starting their own business?
I would say my best word of advice is to have a plan before you do anything, and go see Miss Bonnie Barnes to help you. Because having that BC help my business, it put everything in line. Like, I had a business plan, I had ideas, I had a space, I had, access to some funding, but to really start that journey, I couldn't do it without Margie. And I'm so grateful for the community support that I received before I even opened. Like, just have friends, have family, have community behind you, and just go for it and don't give up on it, because you can really achieve anything.
I would have to agree, do not give up on it. Daily, you will have your highs and your lows. You will say, what am I doing? Why did I do this? But the benefits are amazing. Make sure you have that circle of colleagues, of friends, of anybody that you can reach out to, because the blood, sweat, and tears, they do happen, but boy, do they pay off. They pay off.
Okay, 2 tips. One is just start. So, I feel as if my number one regret is not going full-time earlier. However, I do think the timing was perfect. But I really like this quote, and I think it applies to many different areas of life. But the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, and the second best time to plant a tree is today. So if you're wanting to start, just get going on it. There's a lot of behind the scenes things that have to get done with the business. So just get going on that. And then my second tip is try to avoid perfectionism. I know as females and, working professionals, we all want to be very detail oriented and love to be perfectionists, but I find that it can hold us back. So taking action, although imperfect action, is really important, as opposed to like crawling in a hole and just being scared of doing something because it's not going to be perfect. Most things do not need to be perfect. So that's a constant reminder to myself daily, but throw away perfectionism. Like, that type B lifestyle is might get you a little bit farther in life.
I agree with all that. I have 2 tips. One is find yourself a coach, a mentor, or a book. I wrote 2 books that I read regular. There's a 3rd book somewhere out there. We're trying to find that I have. And that's actually Profit First. And that's my second tip for you. If you start a business, pay yourself from the beginning. We are so used to, we have to put back every penny back into our business. And yes, you do have to reinvest in your business, but do pay yourself. Your business, you work hard for it, and you want to also have your rewards for it. Even if you do a 10% of your monthly revenue and you put that in an account, and even if you pay yourself 50% of that at the end of the year and do something fun with it, but I would really say after a year, you have to pay yourself. Cut a check for yourself. You deserve it. You work hard for it. You're worthy it. So those are the tips.
Thank you. I'd like to thank each of our panelists for trying to keep us on time to get out of here. Please do ask them any questions yourself afterwards. I apologize, but time runs so short, so fast. So I turn it back over to our president, and thank you all again.
Values, one of my values. You notice when we said the member in pledge was to be timely in arrival. We're going to be timely in departure too, because we know, as we said, time is money. So I think the panelists are going to stick around. The room's going to be open till 1:30. So please take your time. Don't feel like you have to rush out of here, but if you do, I want you to feel comfortable to do that. Please join me in thanking our sponsor for today, Ilja Chapman. With and our panelists and moderator, Bonnie Barnes, our moderator. Courtney, Sherri, and Cassandra. Scott Youngberg on our sound and he did a great job. We're going at Amara K tomorrow, playing lovely tunes. He's a well-known local musician here. And the staff and our servers here at Playa Largo.